Just to take you back to last Thursday, as you will recall, when we adjourned, we were on Senate Bill 419, and we were considering Amendment number 9, which was, for lack of a better way to describe it, it was being discussed in the Senate as the Teacher Bill of Rights. Ladies and gentlemen, I've given this a lot of consideration and thought, as we were discussing it, we talked about it in subcommittee, and the subcommittee made the determination that it was not appropriate for this bill. Since that time, and since the discussion we had last week and over the week, we continued to give it a great deal of thought. And although a Bill of Rights, or something that favors our school teachers, a group of people that we trust, that we care about, that we want to see be successful with our students, there's no question about that. At first blush, this idea has appeal. It sort of grabs you. It's like, sure, it would be terrific to return our classrooms to this sort of romantic notion, this sort of Leave It to Beaver world, where the teacher is always kind and always smart and always good, and everything works out, and the parents are engaged, and the students are ready to learn, and they're well behaved. And this is, this sort of idyllic world, this romantic world that may have existed in a classroom here and there, but is not real life. Because students, parents, teachers, principals, administrators, members of the General Assembly, everyone in the system is human. Everyone in the system is subject to shortcomings and failures. So to grant a Bill of Rights to one particular group creates a host of unintended consequences, even though it sounds very appealing. And I ask you to give this serious thought and consideration. Don't act out of the emotional appeal of some bygone era that we can take our schools back to. Give it thought on what real impact it will have on students' lives, teachers' lives, parents' lives, and the quality of education for our students in South Carolina. I'm going to give you four reasons why the Teacher Bill of Rights, as presented initially, should fail. The four biggest problems. The first problem is that the Teacher Bill of Rights is discriminatory. The Teacher's Bill of Rights sets aside one group of people. It's not even the entire education system. It's not all public employees, all right? It's not all education employees. It's not all school employees. It's just a subset of a subset of a subset, teachers. It limits it to just teachers and says, you have rights that are superior to everybody else in this system. You have rights that are superior. You're different. You're better. Because of your rights, you are better than the bus driver. You're better than the principal. You're better than the parents. And quite frankly, you're better than the students. Because the way this amendment is worded, and there are numerous portions of it that create this superior right in one group of people, but they have a right that their professional judgment and discretion, their discretion, that's a very personal thing, personal judgment. There's no objective standard there at all. It's a subjective standard that's decided by the teacher. Their personal judgment and discretion regarding instructional decisions and disciplinary action must be respected, fully respected by school and district officials. This is an unfettered right that this legislation would give to one class of public employees. Literally would make the teacher a god in the classroom who cannot be challenged and whose discretion, subjective discretion, can be enforced at the point of a gun by the government would be called upon the courts to enforce that personal discretion. There's always danger when the government makes a decision that one person's rights are superior to another. It's inherently discriminatory. It inherently makes a judgment about the value of that person as opposed to another person. I read, as I'm sure it was in a school assignment, some way back when, I read a book by George Orwell. Many of you, I'm sure, have read it. Very widely read, Animal Farm. And Animal Farm had a line in it that stuck with me, and it was a poster they had in the barn for all the animals. And they walked out of the barn, and they saw this poster. And the poster said, "All animals are created equal, but some are more equal than others." It was the epitome of discrimination, granting one group rights superior to another. The comparison to the Bill of Rights is flawed in two places. The first flaw, when comparing it to the Bill of Rights to the Constitution of the United States, these were rights that defined what the government could not do, what the government could not restrict. So it sort of ensured, in a way, the negative, I guess you could look at it that way. This Bill of Rights imposes responsibilities upon the government. It's not negative in its nature, it's positive. It says that you have to support this teacher when this teacher makes a decision in the classroom about instruction or discipline, regardless. You've got to support it. It's got other provisions like that. But it's backwards. The second thing when considering the Bill of Rights, and this is the most important part in this comparison and the biggest flaw, the Bill of Rights applies to every American citizen. It's inclusive of all. Every single person in America has these rights. It's not exclusive, it's inclusive. It brings us all in. It brings us all under one big canopy, protection. One big protection that we can all relate to. It doesn't matter on the color of your skin. It doesn't matter what job you have. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter that you happen to be a teacher or not a teacher. Everyone is included. This Bill of Rights is exclusive. The only way you get into this club is you go to school, you get your degree, you get yourself certified, and you become a teacher. That's the only way to break into this club. Anybody else? Excluded. Everybody else? No rights. The most troubling part of the discriminatory element of this is that it doesn't consider or mention or contemplate in any way the rights or the expectations of the student. The student is completely left out of this discussion. What are we here for? What is this about? Our goal is to educate our students. Our goal is to try to help our students grow and become happy, successful, productive American citizens. That's what we're striving to do. That's what all the debate's about. That's what all the money goes for. Good Lord, and it's an amazing amount of money. Almost $14,500 per child in South Carolina on average right now. It's an amazing amount of money. But we have no discussion in here or consideration that what if the student's been done wrong? What if the student has been taken advantage of? What if the student really wasn't so bad? And in that teacher's subjective judgment, that particular student's got to go out of the classroom. Got to respect my decision, and you can litigate with me if you want to. So first, it's discriminatory. Second, it violates the separation of powers. Now, you all know the basic civics. Everybody does. We all understand it even better than most folks up here at the General Assembly, that we pass the laws, we pass the policy. There's a reason for that. We represent the citizens directly. The executive branch carries out the policy. The courts interpret the policy. What this amendment would propose to do is it says, you know what? We are going to give up our policy-making function. Instead, in place of that, we're going to simply adopt some basic principles, some general ideas that are very, very lofty and laudable. We're going to adopt these principles, and we're going to let the courts figure it out. Just get out of the way. Let the courts figure it out. Now, this is a direct abrogation of the obligation and responsibility of the General Assembly and the local school boards.